This is what the Toronto skyline is going to look like in 2033. Okay, not quite, but we are getting a 105-story tower. So let's go through the developments that are coming to reshape Toronto skyline in the next decade or so. Quick disclaimer here, guys, I do not speak for or represent any of the developers featured in this video. Starting off at Yonge and Lakeshore, 1 Yonge right behind the Toronto Star building. So the Toronto Star building is being updated as well, and it will look something like this. It's 3 condo buildings by Pinnacle, one of my favorite developers. 105 stories, 92 stories, and 65 stories are proposed. The 65-story tower is already complete and our clients have moved in, and they're currently approved for 95 stories, but I think they will get the 105, which will make this the tallest building in Canada. The buildings also have a lot of ground floor retail and a connection to the path. You're looking at just over 2,300 units in total here. Next up, right beside the 1 Yonge site, we have Sugar Wharf by Menkes. 4 buildings in total, topping out at 90 stories, which adds up to just over 3,000 condo units in total. And again, we will have more ground floor retail here. They will have access to the path through their neighbor at 1 Yonge, but not direct access. And the land right in front of Sugar Wharf is actually going to be a public park. Heading further east over to Lower Sherbourne and Queens Quay, we get to Lakeside Residences. 4 towers here ranging from 14 up to 49 stories with a combined 2,000 units, give or take. Now, there's probably going to be a change in the plan here, but I will address that when there's more public information available. And by the way, if you like this type of content, I put out videos like this all the time, so please subscribe. I talk about all things Toronto real estate, specifically pre-construction. Moving on. Now, heading south over to Merchants Wharf, right on the water, we get to the Bayside Community by Tridel. Another one of my favorite developers here with an amazing project. You're looking at 4 buildings ranging from 13 to 18 stories, and 2 of them are already complete. The final building, Aqua Luna, is by far my personal favorite. It's the furthest east, so it's the one closest to the slip, and it's just a stunning building both outside and inside. This is a rendered video of what one of the penthouses will look like, and you can get into a penthouse here for about 9 million or so. So if you are interested in that unit, please contact me. Now, just north of Bayside, you have the Keyside proposal. Now, this was the original Google Sidewalk Labs site, but that didn't pan out, and thankfully something even better was proposed. Now, this is from Dream and Great Golf, and it's one of the best proposals I've seen in Toronto for a long time. The site has 5 buildings and just over 4,000 units in total, and a huge chunk of those units are actually going to be affordable housing, which is nice to see. It also has a lot of publicly accessible areas like the skating rink, and it incorporates some ground level retail as well as some office space. Right beside Keyside, in that little triangle piece of land, we have 307 Lakeshore East, which is a really unique proposal from Plaza for a 49-story mixed-use building, which means there'll be both residential and commercial, and you're looking at 430 residential units here. South of that, and right beside Aqua Luna, we have the Parliament Slip, which right now obviously is not really a usable piece of land, but it's being converted into a 4-acre public park. It'll have a community center, a park, a floating dock with some retail, and a floating restaurant, which I'm really excited for. Really looking forward to seeing this one take shape, and glad that Toronto is getting so much revitalization, especially along the waterfront. Then we get to 3C Waterfront, and this is a massive site, I think about 14 acres. It's a proposal from Citizen, the same team that did Pier 27 in partnership with Castle Point. Now, it's still early off in the plans, but so far it looks like about 2,000 units or so with office and retail space, a public park as well, and apparently a Barcelona-style plaza filled with boutiques, cafes, patios, that sort of thing. And they're also doing 225 affordable rental units, which is really nice to see. It's about 10% of the development will actually be affordable rentals. And then we get to the Portlands, and this is obviously an underutilized space, but that is changing soon. Now, it's an absolutely massive piece of land. In total, we're talking over 800 acres, or roughly twice the size of High Park, and the Lower Dawnlands part of it, which we're talking about today, is about 300 acres. So I'll do a separate video going through all of the details on this because it's super impressive and there's a lot going on. It features a ton of park space, retail, commercial, and of course residential as well. I mean, look at this. You've got people canoeing. What's not to love? Take the canoe to work, you know, stick a 5-horse on the back and you're cooking. Heading up to the Distillery District at Mill and Cherry here, we have the West Dawnlands Block 20 proposal. This is also from Dream, and it's 2 really good looking buildings, 46 and 32 stories, 655 units in total. But I just want to take a step back here for a minute and really appreciate how unique Dream's proposals are. They are always stepping outside of the box, and this is why I own Dream stock. Actually, it's mostly because an anonymous account on Twitter told me that they own a ton of land in Alberta at like 1980 prices. Don't take that as financial financial advice. Certainly do not take stock picking advice from a real estate guy. My accountant will attest to that fact. Now, over on the other side of the DVP, just off Lakeshore, there's a monster site from Cadillac Fairview called East Harbor. And when I say monster, I mean we're talking about 60 acres here, 12 million square feet. To put that in perspective, Eaton Center is about 1.8 million square feet. This site will also have its own transit hub and will ultimately employ about 50,000 workers. So it's a massive employment hub, and 17% of the site is designated as retail. So it'll have a comparable amount of retail to the Eaton Center, again, as kind of using our measuring stick. Now, I imagine with the current office occupancy rates, it'll be a bit before they start on this, but you never really know, I guess. Cadillac Fairview has very deep pockets. Heading west now over to Queens Quay and Lower Simcoe, just west of 10 York, Lifetime Developments and Diamond Corp here with a 59-story condo building, just over 1,000 units as per the proposal, and this one is actually launching pretty soon, so you can head over to our website. Link will be in the description if you want to get more details on that. Now, if we head north up Lower Simcoe, we get to Front Street, where there's a stunning office proposal from Westbank Corp. It's 54 stories, 1.7 million square feet of office space, and it was designed by Bjarke Ingels, which explains why it stands out so much in a good way. And keeping with the Union theme, just behind the Rogers Center, we have Union Park. This is a $3.5 billion proposal from Oxford Properties, and it's 4 buildings in total, all of which are pretty architecturally unique by Toronto standards anyways. And these buildings will have commercial components, both office and retail, a public park, and it'll have residential rentals as well. And I mean, naturally, it will get some stunning views of the lake and, of course, free games. 2 towers here, 79 and 64 stories, and this one is already well under construction, just over 1,400 units combined. And just to remind tourists where they are, the towers will light up like a maple leaf in the night sky, so that's pretty cool. Now, this site here keeps changing plans, so stay tuned on this, but over the rail corridor between Bathurst and Blue Jays Way, we have a proposal from Craft Developments. You may remember this was originally planned as the Rail Deck Park, but it would have cost billions, and we can't afford it. Thankfully, the developer is still proposing making the majority of the land a public park, with one caveat, of course: condos. For a lot of reasons, this would obviously be a very impressive build, but we're looking at 7 buildings topping out at 7 stories here and just over 5,000 condo units. Now, personally, I'm a fan here. It's dead space, it's underutilized, and we get a park and we get housing, which obviously Toronto desperately needs both of. So to me, this is a win-win, but I would love to hear what you have to say, so leave a comment below. Into the entertainment district we go. Forma needs no introduction, but I'll give one anyways. 2 towers, 84 and 73 stories, directly north of the RTO. These towers were designed by Frank Gehry, and they're being built by Great Golf. Stunning architecture on these ones with that aluminum cladding there. Now, hopefully that aluminum cladding doesn't blind motorists on the Gardiner or people out there boating, but it's a risk I am willing to take. The smaller of the 2 towers has already launched, and it actually sold incredibly well despite the market, and that is saying something considering it was priced at over $2,000 a square foot. But really, I think it just speaks to the allure that Gehry has, as well as, of course, the prime location. Just on the other side of Theatre Park here, we have 212 King from Dream and Humboldt. This one's 80 stories, and it's a mix of both retail and office, as well as residential rental in the tower above that. The residential component will be a mix of both affordable rental and market rate rental units, and looking at just over 600 residential units in total here. And just to give you guys some perspective on scale here, Theatre Park is sandwiched sort of right in between Forma and 212 King. So I'm going to throw up a clip of Theatre Park so you guys can envision just the sheer size of these towers on either side of Theatre Park. No list here would be complete without the one. You're probably asking which one? The one by Mizrahi, 1 Bloor West. So we're up here at Yonge and Bloor, and we have the one, architecturally one of my favorite buildings in the city. I think a lot of people would say that. Currently approved for 85 stories, but they're proposing another 9 floors, which would bring it up to 94 stories. And I'm going to throw up a video of one of the penthouses, just absolutely a stunning suite and obviously remarkable views up there in the clouds. If you're ever around the area, you know this development is already well above grade, and I can't wait to see this one continue to go up because it truly is a landmark building. Now I have a question for you. Is Humber Bay Toronto? Because a lot of people in Humber Bay will tell you they live in Toronto, but technically it's Etobicoke. Now, regardless, its skyline is obviously very visible from a lot of different places, especially the water. So we're going to address it quickly here. This is the proposal for 2150 Lakeshore, which is also the land where Cirque du Soleil currently is today. This is a massive master plan community from First Capital and Pemberton. You're looking at 29 buildings in total here, 2 schools, multiple parks, tons of ground floor retail, and the best part, a GO station on the site that would be publicly accessible from Parklawn. Tallest tower here is proposed at 66 stories. Personally, I'm really excited about this one. I'm heavily invested in Humber Bay myself, and I think it's a community that is going to continue to do incredibly well. And that's it for the list, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and please do subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next video.